Hello, ranked Gauntlet enthusiasts and people just looking to score some PvP rewards. We are going to try a new series here, which is going to be the weekly bans and ups reviews. We'll be going over, well, obviously the bans and ups for the units and ships, and then at the end we're going to try and build a little team together, maybe a couple of teams, and see what we can get. This is me going off the cuff. We'll see if that format works fine, or if next time I should try to prepare for it. But yeah, let's go. Let's see what we can get. So we got Gaeon, Minestra, Riarm Kang, Yang Harim, and Amy First Wing Banned. Nice. Good start. Good start. Uh, but yeah, ban 2 basically means they're completely unusable. Don't even think about them. We got Claudia ban 1, which is fine, but because Carmen and Evelyn aren't banned, there's really just not a lot of reason to run her. We got Laura banned, which means using her as a leader would be a bad idea, which means probably don't want to run her. Serapel banned. Don't know much about Serapel, honestly, but I think 5 cost for defender is really asking for a bit too much. Lucercia ban 1. It's probably usable, especially if you need her for the invulnerability for part of your team strategy, but I don't think I'd run her. Spira ban 1, probably not. Gremory ban 1, if you really like using Gremory, ban 1 Gremory is still probably fine, could be worth it. But Lily is free, so if you're just looking for the sleep, you do have a better option. Lee Se-yoon ban 1, no. Jushiyun ban 1, also no. Thunderbolt, unfortunately Thunderbolt ban 1 is still usable for the people who run Terra comps. And Replacer King ban 1 is definitely hurt, but ban 1 is playable. Ban ships, New Ohio, ban 2, that's out. Blue Bridge Mark 2? Yeah, at ban 1, if both Blue Bridge Mark 2 and Replacer King are ban 1, he is right there in the area of where he's playable. Maybe not at the highest level, but you'll definitely see some people running him. He is usable. You definitely can climb with a properly made Replacer King comp, which I haven't covered. I don't know that I'll ever cover that because I don't actually own him, and I kind of don't like people who use Replacer King, but you know, live your life. It's your choice how you want to climb. But yeah, Replacer King, usable this week. Lake Superior ban 1, Kamizumi ban 1, and Albion ban 1, so Terra comps are definitely disadvantaged this week, which is always nice. Between this, the Riarm Kang ban, and the... who else was it? Thunderbolt ban. Between those three not replacer comps, Terror comps are at a disadvantage, I would say. And the up units are King, this little chibi dude, Sigma, and Liv Allen. King at up 3. Probably usable. I don't know, like, if you have him at level 1, and you just never touch the guy, I don't know that you'd want to bring him up for a single week. Might be worth it since we're getting pretty close to the season. I think he should be alright at 3 cost. Sigma 3 cost, I think, is a very compelling option because her main use is a battery. She's like creating more deployment cost for you. So if you can send her out for less, it'll take her less to pay herself off. I definitely think a Sigma comp could be usable, kind of a stall camp comp, especially since backline damage is a little less pronounced this week, with again Riarm Kang being out of the picture and King being not in a great spot and Thunderbolt being out. You might be able to get away with a nice campy team. So, aside from the actual bans, what about what's not banned? That's probably an even more important question. So, Awaken Horizon is free this week. I would definitely expect to see a lot of her. As is her ship. Well, yeah, as of both of her ships. The most popular ships, I would say, for Awakened Horizon are going to be the Coffin 6 and the New Detroit. The New Detroit mostly because of its passive increasing Striker's attack speed by 20%. So that's pretty important to keep Awakened Horizon alive, since her invulnerability shield is recast based on how many basic attacks she makes. And that's why people always build her with haste. That's why people always try to get as much attack speed. I mean, excuse me, not haste. That's why people always build her with attack speed sets, and that's why people always, or often, try to have her, yeah, with New Detroit if they really want to focus on running her. What else have we got that's interesting? So, rearmed Kang is very banned, double the normal cost. That's just not feasible. But regular Kang could potentially be run, since she's not banned. And since these days you can farm unit pieces, about 20 of her per day, there is like a world where you could have like a fully tactically upgraded rearmed Kang and a fully tactically upgraded regular Kang. And I think a fully tactically upgraded regular Kang could definitely be usable, especially with like a ban at this level. Also, rearmed Elizabeth is free, so regular Kang and rearmed Elizabeth are probably going to be your main sources or threats for backline damage, just kind of assassins out of nowhere. I'm sure some people will run rearmed, not rearmed, Awaken Mina for that purpose too. Let's see. So, Jushiyun Hospital teams are going to be out. Oh, so the rearmed Strikers, which is rearmed Orca and rearmed Astroza, they're both free this week, as is rearmed Shaolin, which is kind of a rarity these days. So, good week for PvE players, definitely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of those two, of rearmed Astroza and rearmed Shaolin, so I'm definitely going to be trying to work them into my main team. Healers are, like I said, pretty free, aside from Claudia. What else have we got that's interesting? Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, we've got a couple of more notable things. Rearm KC Bins is free this week, so I'm expecting most teams to run her. And I would say that for Rearm KC, Rearmed Yuna is a pretty effective counter. So lots of Rearmed Yuna, not Rearmed Yuna, Awakened Yuna. Awakened Yuna is going to be probably pretty big for at least anyone who wants to deal with Casey somewhat effectively. And what's that about? The other thing is that Raphael Ajuri is free, which is extremely toxic as a unit. She's only available in the Battle Pass so far, like a Battle Pass from, before the February 8th update. So, yeah, anyone who's buying those Battle Passes, those Counter Passes, is probably going to be running her, probably going to have her a Tactical 6 upgrade. It's going to suck. But, you got to work with what you got. So, yeah, the big kind of cosmic threats this week are going to be the Awakened Horizons, maybe King, and definitely Raphael Ajuri stalls are going to be everywhere. No Amy First Wing to pull the entire back line out, and with a couple of bans and a weakened terror, I would say this is probably going to be a pretty heavy stall week where people are just going to put up big frontliners. Awakened Jake is free. E1, E1 being free just goes without saying at this point. No one really bothers to intentionally ban E1. These are the actual voting bans by the top 300 players. So yeah, ban 2 Amy, ban 1 Replacer King, ban 1 Thunderbolt. Very sensible. I wish they would ban Jury more. Jury deserves it. Jury deserves it. But, generally, these are also very sensible choices. If we just had one more like ban slot, that would be great. She's probably got fourth. Anyway, let's try and build teams, and we're gonna try and build the teams off the cuff. And also, since the actual fight isn't unlocked, we're gonna just build them through like the squad page. We'll see how that works, and if it doesn't work very well, then next week I'll try something different. Maybe I'll even cut this video off right here. We'll find out. So, ships. Okay, so the first team we're going to build is the team that I'm realistically probably going to try to run first. This might not be optimal, but this will be like a comfort pick for me, and maybe for you. I don't know. We'll see. So I'll go with the classic Ban 1, Lake Superior, and Kim Hana. I'll bring my Jake in. I'll bring rearmed Esterosa in. I'll bring in Shaolin, of course. Let's see. I'd like to get, yep, rearmed Elizabeth in here, because she's like probably the most effective backline killer for this week. You don't have a whole lot of good options this week. What else have we got? Oh, I missed an important point. Along with Awakened Horizon being free, Awakened Lee Soo-yeon is also free. And she is one of the biggest counters to Awakened Horizon, since her on-deploy skill can deal a lot of damage to air targets. And if you specifically build her with anti-air equipment, you know, potentially if you build her with courageous, whatever you call them, crowns, you could roll those to be anti-mech and anti-striker, I believe. And then you could potentially just put her into the field while Awakened Horizon does not have her shield up, and just blow her up on the spot. You just gotta make sure that the shield is not there, because if you deploy her and the shield is up on Awakened Horizon, you just completely wasted the deploy. But yeah, she's free and she's a good pick because she just explodes air units. The skies are not safe this week with Awakened Lee Soo-yeon banned, and if you have her, it's definitely a good pickup. I didn't cover her in my last video for like a few reasons, but she's definitely a good pickup. Let's see. So we got our anti-striker damage. Now we need some anti-defender damage. Let's see. Oh yeah, right. Administration Rifleman is free this week, as is Ifrit, if I'm remembering right. So those are great frontline killer choices. Yeah, let's go with Administration Rifleman, I guess, because my Ifrit gear is terrible. So, oh right, and a healer. Let's see, how's that look? We got our defender, got a striker, frontliners, we've got striker killers, we've got the defender killers, we've got some backline harassment, we've got a healer, we've got her for Horizon. Even though Jake can to some extent also counter Horizon, as long as you can like find yourself a ground target for him to punch, then he can stun and HP percent damage Horizon that's nearby and keep her from moving and doing her shenanigans. So yeah, Jake's really only a counter as long as he has something to punch. He can't punch the sky, at least not yet. But yeah, this I'm pretty happy with. This I think should be an effective team. Probably gonna get the Challenger one with this stuff right here. That's what I expect. Except for the ship. Realistically, the problem with Ban 1 ships, or well, I mean any level of bans, is that not only do they have reduced haste, reduced HP, reduced attack, who cares about reduced attack, but they also have your opponent can deploy closer sooner. against these ships. So terror comps are actually going to pretty much completely destroy any band 1 ships. Like, along with the reduced HP pool, they also have increased range that your opponent can deploy into at the very beginning of the match. So, probably not a great choice. If I want to play a defensive shield ship, as I like to do, then I would probably run either the Gleipnir armor type, which I haven't bothered to upgrade yet, or the Gleipnir pod type, which I also have not bothered to upgrade yet. Not sure which one I'll run, but it would probably be more sensible to run one of these two than the other. I haven't actually had any practice with either ship, so hey, it could be a learning experience. And there's nothing better than a learning experience when you're trying to climb, right? But yeah, maybe a more sensible choice would be the Gleipnir armor type. Because the nice thing about Lake Superior is no matter who you run as a defender, they all get the 12% bonus, whereas the Gleipnir armor type, it gives a bit of a bigger bonus with its passive in terms of the ally counter, in terms of the counter damage reduction, but it's limited to counters. On the other hand, if you're only running counters for your front line, then it's really just a pure advantage. I have 2 soldiers on this team, and they're not exactly renowned for their survivability, so it should be fine. So what else can you run? Let's see if we can make a lower maintenance team that's also based on the principles I covered in like my second team building video. We're still gonna stick with the Gleipnir armor type, but Gleipnir pod type also a good option for like the kind of teams that I've covered in the past videos. And Lake Superior, if you don't mind the ban and pretty much auto losing to any terror comps. But yeah, let's just use Gleipnir pod type. So Gleipnir pod type's an interesting ship because its passive gives a bunch of evasion, and what's really cool about evasion is that it's going to prevent units from being knocked back. We'll do a video on that later, but basically when there's an evasion check, if your units successfully evade, then an ability or attack that would have knocked them back would instead just not knock them back. Probably. Unless maybe it's a special, I'm not sure. But like regular basic attacks, you can't be knocked back by them if you pass a evasion check. And also the Lake Superior's like big barrier thing pushing everything to the middle, that's also, if your units pass an evasion check, they won't get hit by that. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing a video on like evasion in general in the future. And I'll check my facts. Anyway, so, rest of the team. What have we got? Let's see if we can be a little more creative and a little more accessible. So, that's Rearm Casey right there. We'll run her. I think that's sensible. In fact, honestly, I'll probably take out Jake and put in Rearm Casey. I think that just makes more sense for this week. Maybe I'll go back and forth on it. Maybe I'll replace her with it if I want to give up on the striker frontliner slot. Anyway, Rearm Casey, definitely strong choice. What else have we got? You could run Rearmed Orca, but probably not at the same time. You want one of them to be the leader, and if you're running Casey, you should probably run Casey as leader. So yeah, let's not run Orca. What else have we got? Or at least what else have I got? Rose is not a great choice this week, just because Awaken Lysiana is free. But yeah, Sigma's definitely a pickup. I might also think about trying to incorporate her into my team. It would be a good idea to make her leader, so you could just deploy her right from the beginning. In fact, I would say if you're going to be running Sigma, to take advantage of her 3 cost due to the up this week, then I would say you probably want to make her leader and send her out right away. With Casey, I think she could get away with not using her leader, without using her as leader. She's still very cheap and very effective. But yeah, maybe you don't want to run both on the same team. I can't say for sure. It's something you'd have to experiment with. Usually I don't get like a team completely perfect the first time around. I wouldn't say at lower leagues necessarily. Actually, in general, I think this would be a good week for Serena Crew. Serena Crew's special, or her commander skill, removes non-permanent buffs and also adds a buff block. And some of the cool things you can do with this is when you have an Awakened Horizon on the field harassing you, giving you trouble, and being invulnerable with her shield, which you're likely to be dealing with this week, yeah, you can just throw her out, use her skill, and both remove the shield and also prevent it from coming back for 7 seconds. You're like the way you could capitalize the most on this is to wait for the shield to come up for like the basic attack that triggers it, and then immediately, activate it. And then you'll probably have enough time to take care of Awakened Horizon and break the entire enemy team if they were depending on her. She's also great for removing rearmed Estarosa skill if your enemy is using her as leader. And it's hilarious when you do this at lower leagues, where they'll play out rearmed Estarosa and I'll think, oh, we've got 8 seconds, and suddenly, bam, you hit him with a Serena Crew skill, and she just drops dead, and you're like, oh, well, this is awkward, and you'll probably run him over. I've been on the giving and the receiving end of that as I was coming up in like Platinum and Diamond. What else have we got? Alright, we've got Carmen. Can definitely run Carmen instead of Evelyn, or even both, depending on what exactly you're going for. Horizon is free this week, and Horizon's pretty cool, because when she goes Berserk, she can't really be pushed back, and she's also good at pushing back the enemy team, which can be really nice for setting them up for a battle in front of their ship and just blasting them with area damage. If you have like some of the casters that I've mentioned in previous videos. What else can we do? We could also potentially run twins here. They're not banned. Also a fair option. Gaon is banned, so that's a no. I would say you should just have these two. They're cheap. You can farm them both. You can... it's not that expensive to rearm Hansorim. And, yeah, these are things that everyone can have and everyone could think about using, because they're really effective at dealing with defenders. Just bursting those guys down. So we got a healer, we've got some anti-def. I don't think I'd run with Ludmilla this week because Lee Suyon is free. So let's avoid Ludmilla. But yeah, hopefully most people have a rearmed Shaolin. I feel like there's not a lot of reason not to run her. Oh, and speaking of rearmed Shaolin, because probably everyone and their grandmother is going to be running rearmed Shaolin, what we might want to do is, as much as I hate to admit it, is run Yujin. Because Yujin's whole thing is that she is really good at killing snipers. Well, I mean, she's really good at killing the backline in general, but especially rearmed Shaolin. Because rearmed Shaolin hangs out furthest back, so they play rearmed Shaolin, you play rearmed Yujin, and if she doesn't dodge, then you basically instantly kill her with rearmed Yujin's special. Which is... this is the wrong gear, by the way, don't pay attention to this. But yeah, her special is surefire and does a lot of damage. And also, if it does damage, and I think after the actual damage being done. It checks if their HP is 50% or lower, and if it is, then it kills them. I think that's how that works, but don't quote me on that. So we've got both Shaolin and a way to deal with Shaolin, and now we just need probably one more defender killer. And even though I wouldn't actually run Ifrit because my Ifrit gear is my mech gear is terrible, yeah, this is looking pretty good. I would be comfortable with this. The cost is a little cheap actually, considering this week is going to be big for camping teams. So you definitely want to give your Yujin good gear, and instead of Einstein's Y, you can definitely think about running maybe Rearmed Restarosa could be usable even without her leader skill, because she is just really tanky. Like, for PvE, people talk about Rearmed Restarosa as, you play her for the invulnerability, and there are absolutely stages where it's super important to have that. But generally speaking, I'd say if you have her in, like, really solid tank gear, then you can just run her as, a human wall. A counter wall. Guess counter is still humans. Anyway, so yeah, this lot, you might want to think about your options. You might want to drop Sigma and lead one of your frontliners. I'd say this is probably usable though, but yeah, I'm not sure about the Sigma. Sigma's really most useful with a heavier team. Like this one. I think if I could take out... Yeah, if I could take out her, for example, or maybe a healer, and just put in Sigma, I think that would work. But yeah, no, let's drop Sigma, realistically. That's just gonna get in the way, probably. Or maybe this video's gone on too long. Yeah. Well, anyway, you'll have to figure it out for yourself. Let's not, like, sit here for too long. Probably don't want to run Sigma with this. Sigma's better with heavier teams, more deploy-heavy camping teams. This team is actually running pretty light, maybe too light. So yeah, you could try running a heavier striker for frontlining. Rearm Casey's obviously going to be great. Got a healer for her. Pod type. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'd say this is a good second team. Okay, so let's call that an end, and let's see how this video does. But yeah, if you like this video, or some aspect of it, then give this video a like. And obviously, one person giving their first impression of the bands and ups this week and some team building. It's not going to get everything right. So if you have some ideas, some thoughts to share about the bands, please do so in the comments. I think that would be a great place for us to discuss what we can do, talk about teams, stuff like that. But yeah, if you like the video format, let me know. If you'd prefer that I actually built some teams and then explained my reasoning instead of building them sort of live, then do say so. And yeah, that's it. Okay.